Since birth, Anya and Lana had always represented two halves of a whole. They shared everything, childhood secrets tied to their small bedroom with its window overlooking the sea, quiet dreams, and even silly wishes. Between them existed a connection that went beyond ordinary words. If one of them suffered, the other felt that pain just as deeply. But recently those emotions had grown deeper, transforming into something they both understood, but neither dared to say aloud. Anya was always the quiet, introspective, and reserved one. She loved the peaceful moments spent with a cup of tea, listening to the gentle sound of waves crashing against the shore. Meanwhile, Lana embodied boldness and a fearless drive to challenge what seemed impossible. But even Lana, the strong and spirited one, would fall silent when they sat together in the quiet. The intimacy that had once seemed like a simple sisterly bond now felt intertwined with something far more complex. It all began quietly. A touch of the hand that lingered longer than necessary, a shared gaze that stretched a breath too long. The silence between them, once comforting, became heavy with something unnamed. A quiet fear crept into their hearts, the fear of ruining the precious relationship they had, the fear of confronting the truth that their love might be something beyond what was considered normal. One evening, Anya and Lana sat side by side on the simple white-sheeted bed in their small bedroom. The soft glow from the bedside lamp cast golden hues against the walls, forming shadowy patterns. The distant sound of waves crashing against the shore played like a familiar lullaby in the background. Anya leaned back against the headboard, her long hair cascading down her back, her eyes half closed as though shielding the storm of thoughts racing through her mind. Lana sat cross-legged beside her, her gaze locked on Anya as if trying to read her sister's unspoken thoughts. There was something different in Lana's eyes that night, a quiet intensity that Anya couldn't ignore. Lana's voice broke the silence, soft yet weighted with the gravity of an entire world. Have you ever wondered if we're different from others? Anya's heart skipped a beat, a sudden rush of adrenaline making her pulse quicken. She looked up at Lana, her expression confused and uncertain. What do you mean? Lana paused for a moment, pressing her lips together as if carefully weighing her words. Finally, she spoke, her voice soft but steady. Our bond. It's not like the bond between normal sisters. Don't you feel it? Lana's words washed over Anya like a tidal wave, sweeping away every defense she had built over the years. Her chest felt tight, as though it was being gripped by an invisible hand. She could feel her palms growing damp with sweat. Anya tried to respond, but her voice came out as a whisper, fragile as the night itself. It's not like that. Lana leaned in slowly, her eyes never leaving Anya's face. The space between them was now only inches. Lana's eyes glowed with an unspoken vulnerability as she murmured, I think about you all the time, maybe more than I should. Sometimes, I feel like I can't breathe without you. Those words made Anya's heart pound in her chest. She had felt the same way in those fleeting moments they spent together, but she had never had the courage to face it. Now, as she looked into Lana's eyes, she could no longer deny the feelings she had tried so hard to hide. The darkness of the room no longer felt peaceful. It was charged with an intense, fragile tension, like a storm on the verge of breaking, where a single breath could shatter everything. Lana gently took Anya's hand and gave it a soft squeeze, as if seeking reassurance amid the whirlwind of emotions. Anya, I need you, more than anything else in this world. Anya gazed into Lana's eyes, the eyes she had known all her life, yet now they carried a meaning entirely different. And in that moment, they both knew their lives would never be the same again. Every time Lana looked at Anya, brushed her hand or giggled at her silly jokes, a deep longing flared within Anya, too fierce to ignore. She had often wondered why those small gestures made her heart race so wildly. This time, when their eyes met under the soft golden glow of the room, Anya couldn't hide her unease. Lana looked at her, her eyes filled with tenderness and longing, mingled with a touch of anxiety. "I feel the same way," Anya finally admitted, her voice trembling like waves crashing against the rocky shore. "I'm not sure what it means, but I can't stop thinking about you." Lana gave a small smile, her eyes glimmering in the dim light. She gently took Anya's hand, their fingers intertwining like an unbreakable bond between two souls. Anya felt the warmth from Lana's touch travel down her spine, making her shiver. They stayed that way for what felt like an eternity, as if time had stopped and the world outside no longer existed. In the stillness of the room, Lana whispered, "I don't want to live in fear anymore. Whatever this is, I want us to discover it together." Anya didn't have time to respond, because in that moment, Lana leaned in and pressed her lips softly against Anya's. At first, it was a gentle, cautious touch, as though Lana was testing the waters, but then their connection deepened, growing more intense, as if they had been waiting their whole lives for this moment. Anya shuddered as she felt Lana's heartbeat quicken, matching the rhythm of her own. She closed her eyes, letting herself sink into the warmth, into the torrent of emotions surging through her like uncontrollable waves. When they finally pulled away, both of them were breathless, their foreheads resting against each other. Lana smiled softly, her fingers tracing delicate, invisible patterns along Anya's arm, filled with quiet affection. "Is this wrong?" Anya whispered, her eyes shimmering as if they held the entire world within them. Lana shook her head, her gaze unwavering. "It's not wrong at all. It feels like the truest thing I've ever known, like it was our destiny from the start." In the days that followed, their bond grew even closer, inseparable. Whenever they could, they stole kisses when no one was looking, held hands beneath the table during family dinners, and exchanged secret smiles across the room. Their love was pure and unbreakable, a sacred secret known only to them. But, as with every forbidden love, complications began to arise. Anya and Lana knew that if anyone discovered their truth, the world would respond with judgment. Their family, the people they loved most, might never accept it. Keeping their love a secret became an increasingly heavy burden. The more they had to hide it, the more precious every touch became. Each stolen moment together was like a treasure that only they could understand the value of. One quiet weekend evening, when the rest of the family was away, the house by the sea fell into a rare and profound silence, as if the world itself held its breath, watching. Anya and Lana sat together on the couch in the living room, the TV playing an old movie that neither of them paid attention to. The room was thick with an unspoken tension. Lana broke the silence with a whisper. "I can't stop thinking about you." The words were soft as a breeze, yet they stole Anya's breath. Lana's hand slowly slid onto Anya's leg, her eyes filled with tenderness and longing. "I don't want to hold myself back anymore." Anya's heart pounded in her chest. She looked at Lana, her eyes full of unspoken questions that didn't need answers. No words were necessary. Their synchronized heartbeats told their story. That was all the encouragement Lana needed. She leaned in again and kissed Anya, this time with greater urgency and intensity, as though all the waiting and restraint had built up to this very moment. Their hands moved instinctively, exploring each other with curiosity and desire that had been repressed for so long. The walls of time and reality around them dissolved as they became fully immersed in the current of their shared passion. Time slipped by in a haze of fiery kisses, soft whispers, and tender caresses that left them breathless. Lana tilted her head, her breathing uneven as Anya gently cupped her cheek, her eyes glimmering like starlight reflected in the waves outside the window. It was a night they would never forget, a night that marked the transformation of their relationship into something far beyond the confines of familial bonds. As the dawn's first light crept through the window, painting the walls with a soft golden hue, the two of them remained tangled in each other's embrace, warm and content. Anya gently rested her head on Lana's chest, listening to the steady rhythm of her sister's heartbeat. For the first time in her life, she felt a deep, unblemished peace. "I'm not sure what the future holds," Anya murmured, her voice sleepy but serene. "But as long as you're with me, I know I'll be okay." Lana smiled and placed a kiss on the top of Anya's head, her breath soft and reassuring. "We'll get through everything together," Lana whispered. In the days that followed, their relationship grew deeper with every exchanged glance and every lingering touch. The secrecy surrounding their love made everything more captivating and addictive. Every moment spent together felt sacred, a treasure only they could understand. However, they were keenly aware that their love, though pure and genuine, would never be accepted by the outside world. That knowledge made them more cautious. Sometimes they would hide in the backyard garden, where towering trees created a natural shield from prying eyes. On other nights, they would slip into each other's rooms after the house had fallen into deep sleep. One night, when the house was completely silent, Lana softly knocked on Anya's door. "Anya," Lana whispered through the crack. Anya, having anticipated this, quickly opened the door and greeted Lana with a gentle smile as she stepped inside. "I couldn't sleep," Lana said, her eyes bright in the soft glow of the bedside lamp. "I just wanted to be close to you." Anya didn't respond with words. Instead, she softly took Lana's hand and pulled her closer. Their bodies fit together naturally, as if they had been designed to be this way. They sat on the bed, their faces mere inches apart, their warm breaths mingling. Anya gently tucked a strand of Lana's hair behind her ear, her fingers brushing against her soft skin. "I've been thinking about you all day," Anya confessed, her voice as soft as the breeze. "Every time you're not by my side, I feel incomplete." Lana smiled, her hand resting tenderly on Anya's cheek. "Me too," Lana whispered, her voice low but resolute. "It feels like I can't breathe without you." Without another word, Lana leaned in and placed a slow, tender kiss on Anya's lips, as though affirming that their love was stronger than any fear. At first, Lana's kiss was soft, like a gentle breeze against Anya's skin, but it quickly deepened, filled with yearning and passion. Their hands began to move instinctively, exploring each other with the familiarity of years but the excitement of something new. Every touch sent a shiver down Anya's spine, like a surge of electricity coursing through her. Lana's kisses felt like they were reigniting a long smouldering fire within Anya, burning away every wall she had built to protect herself. Lana's arms wrapped around Anya's waist, pulling her closer until their bodies pressed fully together. Their heartbeats became one, like two parts of the same melody reverberating through the quiet night. Lana's kisses trailed down Anya's neck, leaving warm, lingering traces on her skin. Anya couldn't hold back the overwhelming sensations coursing through her. Lana whispered near her ear, her warm breath sending shivers down Anya's spine. "I want to experience everything with you. Every emotion. Every moment." Anya's breath caught in her throat as she stared into Lana's eyes. In those eyes, she saw the same burning desire that mirrored her own. Though they had shared so much throughout their lives, this moment felt entirely different, profound and sacred beyond measure. Their connection wasn't just physical. It was a spiritual bond that had always been there, now expanding in ways they had never imagined. Anya closed her eyes, surrendering to everything as Lana's lips found hers again. This kiss was longer, as if they were cherishing every second that fate had granted them. Every caress sent waves of warmth through Anya's body, making her heart beat even faster. They moved in harmony, their bodies fitting together perfectly, as though they had been created for each other. As the night settled around them, the world outside faded away, leaving only the room filled with the breath of love and unwavering trust. Lana lay down beside Anya, her eyes never leaving her sister's face. They lay close to each other, their steady breaths mingling with the lingering excitement that still hung in the air. Anya smiled softly and gently took Lana's hand, their fingers intertwining naturally. The warmth of her touch made Lana shiver, stirring something deep within her. The tension between them, the emotions that had been suppressed for so long, suddenly ignited like a fire spreading throughout the room. Lana moved closer, their legs lightly brushing under the warm blanket. Even the slightest brush of skin against skin was enough to make Anya hold her breath. Anya's smile deepened, her eyes gentle but full of love as she raised her hand and softly traced the contours of Lana's face with her fingers. She let her fingertips glide from Lana's cheek to her perfectly curved lips, as if memorizing every detail. Lana closed her eyes under the delicate touch, her lips parting slightly as if savoring the sensation. Her breathing quickened, her shoulders trembling. "I've been thinking about you all day," Anya whispered, her voice trembling with emotions that were equal parts nervousness and longing. Without waiting for Lana to respond, Anya leaned in gently and pressed a soft kiss to her sister's lips. The kiss was filled with all the tenderness they had suppressed for so long. At first, it was a slow, cautious exploration, but it quickly became more powerful and intense. The warmth of Lana's lips made Anya feel as though she were melting. A wave of yearning coursed through her entire body, making her shiver as the kiss grew more passionate and consuming. Lana's arms wrapped around Anya's waist, pulling her closer as if she couldn't bear to be apart for even a second. Their bodies pressed tightly together, their heartbeats synchronizing as if they were parts of the same melody resonating in the quiet night. Lana's kisses trailed down Anya's neck, leaving a path of warmth on her skin, making her unable to suppress the rush of emotions surging through her. Lana whispered near Anya's ear, her warm breath sending shivers down her spine. "I want to experience everything with you. Every feeling, every moment." Anya's breath caught in her throat as she gazed into Lana's eyes. They both saw in each other's eyes the same burning desire that mirrored their own. Though they had shared so much in their lives, this moment felt entirely different, profound and sacred beyond anything they had known. Their connection was not only physical, it was a spiritual bond that had always existed and was now expanding in ways they had never expected. Anya closed her eyes and surrendered completely as Lana's lips found hers once again. This kiss was longer, as if they were cherishing every second that fate had given them. Every gentle touch sent waves of warmth through Anya, making her heartbeat grow even stronger. They moved in harmony, their bodies fitting together perfectly, as though they were made for each other. As the night deepened, the world outside seemed to vanish, leaving only the room filled with the breath of love and unwavering trust. Lana lay her head gently against Anya's, and their foreheads touched, their breath slow and mingling in the quiet space. Anya raised her hand again to caress Lana's face, her gaze brimming with tenderness and devotion. She pulled Lana closer, placing a slow, meaningful kiss on her sister's lips, as if savoring every precious second. "I've dreamed of this for so long," Anya murmured, her voice as soft as a breeze floating through the room. Lana smiled, her warm breath brushing over Anya's lips as she whispered, "Me too. I never dared to believe in this, but now that you're here, everything feels right." Their lips found each other again, softer this time but no less intense. Lana's hand gently slipped under the hem of Anya's shirt, her fingers brushing over the smooth skin of Anya's waist. Anya shivered at the touch, her body melting into Lana's as she sought more warmth and closeness. The outside world had completely disappeared now. There was nothing but the two of them, immersed in the intensity of their love and absolute trust. Lana's kisses moved down Anya's neck, spreading warmth and leaving traces of affection that made Anya's heart race. Anya closed her eyes and wove her fingers into Lana's soft hair, feeling the strands slide through her fingers. Their quickened breaths and murmured words of affection filled the air, creating a symphony of emotions they could no longer suppress. Every kiss stirred waves of desire that sent shivers through Anya's body. Lana's hand glided gently along Anya's back and waist, making her feel as though she was lost in a world where only their warmth and heartbeats mattered. They lay together in that private kingdom where love was the only thing that existed. Time seemed to stand still, filled only by their touches and gazes that held everything they had never dared to say aloud. As the first rays of dawn slipped through the window, the soft light filled the room, illuminating the serene faces of the two sisters. Lana lay on her side, her arms wrapped around Anya as if shielding her from the world. Anya rested her head against Lana's chest, her eyes dreamy as she traced lazy patterns on Lana's skin with her fingertips. Lana gently stroked Anya's hair, her eyes filled with boundless devotion and love. "Do you think we'll be able to live like this forever?" Anya whispered, her voice trembling with a mix of anxiety and hope. Lana paused for a moment, then leaned down and placed a kiss on Anya's forehead like a quiet promise. "No matter what happens, we'll be together," Lana replied softly. "I believe that." They lay there in each other's arms, letting time pass slowly, as if every moment could become eternal. In that small room, bathed in the gentle light of dawn, their love was the only truth, strong, sacred, and everlasting. Lana gently brushed her hand across Anya's cheek, her voice steady yet tender. "No matter what happens, I believe that as long as we have each other, nothing can tear us apart." Anya smiled, her gaze soft like the sky before sunrise. She leaned down and placed a gentle kiss on her sister's lips. Not to prove anything, but simply to feel their presence in that moment, in that world. "As long as we're together, I don't care what anyone else thinks," Anya whispered. The two of them remained still in each other's embrace, savoring each breath and the synchronized beat of their hearts. The world outside, with all its judgment and prejudice, seemed small and insignificant compared to the love they shared. Time passed, and the peaceful days in their little house slowly turned into difficult trials as they realized that living in secrecy couldn't last forever. The burden of hiding their love and pretending to be ordinary sisters became a weight that pressed down on them. The curious stares of neighbors, the seemingly innocent questions from family. Sometimes they felt like invisible blades, making Lana and Anya even more cautious. They tried to maintain distance in public, but the quiet glances and secret touches still overflowed with a love that couldn't be completely concealed. One evening, after a long, exhausting day of wearing a mask of composure, Anya sat on the bed with red-rimmed eyes. Tears streamed down her cheeks as she finally let everything out to Lana. "I don't know how much longer we can keep this up, Lana. I'm so tired of hiding. I'm furious that we have to pretend to be just sisters when this love is so much more." Lana froze at those words. Without hesitation, she pulled Anya into her arms and gently stroked her back to comfort her. She whispered, "I know. I hate it too, but we'll figure out a way to get through this. I promise." Anya looked up at Lana, a glimmer of fragile hope in her eyes. Lana leaned down and placed a kiss on Anya's forehead, as if sealing her promise. "One day, we'll be able to love each other without fear. Someday, we'll hold hands in the sunlight without hiding," Lana said with certainty. Lana's words felt like rays of light breaking through the darkness in Anya's heart. Anya smiled softly, her eyes still wet with tears but now warmer. "As long as we have each other, nothing else matters," Anya replied, her voice trembling but determined. Lana squeezed Anya's hand tightly, and in the stillness of the room, the only sound was the rhythm of their hearts beating as one, a reminder that no matter how difficult things became, their love would never fade. They knew the road ahead wouldn't be easy. The barriers of society, the disapproval of their family, and the fear of being discovered loomed over them. But in the gentle light of that early morning, as they lay together in their warm, loving space, they understood that nothing could ever tear them apart. As the sun climbed higher, the first golden rays streamed through the window, illuminating the two figures entwined in each other's arms. Anya traced small circles on Lana's skin with her finger, her eyes filled with rare serenity amid the storms of life. Lana gazed down at her sister with an expression of unconditional devotion. "I will always be by your side no matter what," she whispered, as though making a lifelong vow. Anya didn't reply with words. She simply tightened her hold on Lana's hand. They lay still, listening to the sound of each other's heartbeats, letting time pass slowly, as if every second was infinitely precious. In that small room, bathed in the soft glow of morning light and the whispered promises between two hearts, they knew that this love, no matter how forbidden in the eyes of the world, was the most beautiful and genuine thing they had ever known. And for them, that was all that mattered.